Welcome to the Weather Gurus podcast for November the 2nd, 2022. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Tony. Please be sure to subscribe or to support this channel. We are the only channel providing you with the local updates for the lower 48 United States, as well as the tropical updates as well in real time. Right now, we're going to be talking about first Hurricane Lisa impacting Belize City and also heading into Guatemala and Mexico and back into the Bay of Campeche. Also, we're going to be talking about the national weather hazards for the lower 48 United States. We're going to take a look at current radar conditions as well as other hurricanes that are out in the Atlantic Basin at this time. Right now, I want to show you, looking at a live view of the hurricane who's making landfall right now as we speak around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Atlantic Standard Time. It's making landfall right now in Belize City. This is a Category 1 hurricane with 80 miles an hour winds, sustained 85 mile an hour winds, pressure's down to 990 millibars, and is moving west at 10 knots or 12 miles an hour. One good news about this system is not going to be a slow mover. It's really moving at a relatively moderate pace, so that's good news. It's not going to be flooding. It's going to be some rain and some flooding, but not the extensive flooding we would see with, like, back in years past with like a Hurricane Mitch or something where it just sat over the Central America, dumping over a foot of rain. There's still going to be a substantial amount, between 8-10 inches of rain, possibly more inland, but most of the rain is going to be heavily focused onto the north of Belize City and also up into southern Mexico and the Yucatan Peninsula and the Bay of Campeche. That's what's going to be. Most of the rain is going to be concentrated up to the north and east of the system, as that's where you see most of the convection. So right now we put the radar in motion. As you can see, as made landfall, the eye is just about crossing Belize City right now. There's heavy rain, strong winds in that core as it makes landfall, as you can see here, and progresses inland. It will rapidly weaken inland to a tropical storm and a depression, so that's not going to be a concern, especially as it goes over the higher mountainous terrain of northern Guatemala and south central Mexico. So that's going to be weakening it rapidly down to a tropical storm and a depression. By tomorrow night, a 24-hour time frame, it'll be down to a tropical storm, even near depression. So that's what we have going on with Lisa. Lisa is going to be continue to moving west, and then it's going to jog to the north into the Bay of Campeche. Once it gets back out there, it's very interesting because there's weak steering currents in the Bay of Campeche right now. So the models are not strongly suggesting whether or not it's going to make another second landfall here. The National Hurricane Center, oh, that's the wrong one here. I'm sorry, that's Martin. But we have Lisa here, and I want to show you the cone of uncertainty. The cone of uncertainty has it pulling into the Gulf of the Bay of Campeche by 1 p.m. Saturday afternoon. So it'll be in there as a depression, and it'll be turning to the north, but there's weak steering current, so we're not sure if it's going to make a second landfall or not. It's going to be very interesting to see whether it turns back into Mexico for a second landfall, or it continues northward on to making a landfall somewhere in Texas, Corpus Christi, or Brownsville, Texas, McAllen. That is something that we will have to watch carefully, as the steering currents, it's not going to be there because there's a cold front coming through right now in the U.S. on the models here on the radar. So looking at the National Satellite Composite Radar, what we have here, we still have those upper level low that's spinning to the east of Nashville, Tennessee. This is bringing showers through the Ohio Valley. So if you're coming along just east of I-75 through Lexington, London, Kentucky, down through Knoxville, and I-40 through Asheville, Hickory, Greensboro, the Triad, High Point, and I-85 out of Charlotte, and 77 out of Charlotte, heading through High Point, North Carolina, and into the Virginia Shenandoah Valley. There's some moderate to heavy rain forecasted for that area. And also down in Columbia, South Carolina, heavy showers are extending down into the Midlands area of South Carolina and that area as well. So anybody traveling through that region, there's going to be some showers that will continue. This all courtesy of an upper level low that is spinning counterclockwise through the area, heading out to the mid-Atlantic and basically out to sea eventually tonight and into tomorrow morning. Beautiful conditions abound, and from the Allegheny Valley of Pennsylvania all the way up through the Hudson River Valley of New York and the Green and White Mountains of New Hampshire and Maine. Beautiful conditions. Temperatures are 10 to 15 degrees above average for today and tomorrow. High temperatures topping out in the 60s and 70s in some parts of Pennsylvania, New York, and upstate New England. And temperatures will continue to remain above normal for that area. Now, elsewhere out west, we have mountain snow that's extending in the Front Range of the Wasatch from St. George, Utah, all the way up I-15 to Salt Lake City, Ogden, Provo, Utah. These areas are picking up anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of additional snowfall, as well as the high Sierra country picking up another foot of snow, anywhere from Bridgeport up through Lake Tahoe and all of the favorite ski resorts up there as well. Colorado, Denver, and the Rockies, the snow has shut down for you guys in the San Juans Mountains of Colorado, as well as Vail, Breckenridge, Summit County, the usual spots. The snow is shut down temporarily right now, but it will be picking up again as another vigorous front comes through later on this week. Elsewhere, the Midland of the country looks absolutely fabulous, from Dallas-Fort Worth to San Antonio up through the Dakotas and Nebraska. Everything is looking good, sunny, and clear for those areas as well. As far as hazards go, we just have those winter storm advisories once again for the Front Range of the Rockies and to the Wasatch and the Bitterroots chains of Montana up through the Tetons of Wyoming and Yellowstone. And we have the red flag warnings out in front of it for the dry humidity conditions in the high plains of South Dakota, the Black Hills of South Dakota, Rapid City, down through Kearney, Nebraska, and into Kansas, and into the Front Range, into the high plains and low plains of Denver, out in the plains of Lyman, Colorado, places like that. And then we also have a high wind warning for some parts of southern New Mexico. If you're coming through Socorro, New Mexico, Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, those areas out there, Santa Fe, you might look out for some wind that's going to be coming across as a result of that vigorous system dropping down, bringing that snowfall, the trough level, bringing that snowfall levels down through pass levels, through the Raton Pass of New Mexico and those areas like that. And that's pretty much it. We have also a flood watch for the northern section of the PNW, the Pacific Northwest. So if you're in Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, Bainbridge Island, Bremerton, those areas are under a flood watch, as these rain in the lower elevations are going to be bringing up to possibly 1 to 3 inches of rain. Sometimes rainfall rates could come up 1 to 2 inches per hour. So be mindful of that if you're traveling along I-5 and some of the passes, White Pass, Snoqualmie Pass, some of the upper higher elevation passes, and going up to that elevation before you transition to snow. So be careful and look out for that as well. Now, I want to also look at I want to show you Martin as well. We do have another storm courtesy of the National Hurricane Center, but this is out to sea here. Hurricane Martin, we up to 14 named storms almost now, and that's about average for the year for hurricanes. So Hurricane Martin is at 75 knots, 85 mile an hour winds. Pressure's down to 974. Its movement is northeast at 27 knots or 31 miles an hour. So it is booking it. It is zooming along out of here. There's a storm interest for mariner interest and shipping interest, as it's not going to affect any landfall at all. Not even the Azores, not even the Bermuda, not at the Azores Islands, not even Spain and Portugal. This is heading toward the British Isles and northern Greenland, Iceland. It may brush by there, bringing some choppy, squally conditions, but nothing really substantial with certain that. Elsewhere, we don't have anything else in the Atlantic or basin. The Eastern Pacific Basin looks quiet, as well as the Central Pacific Basin looks quiet. So that's excellent news. And if you're in the U.S., check out the fall foliage that's going on. This is going to be past peak for the Northeast, as well as the Mid-Atlantic, coming up at the end of this week and next week. So be sure to check out some of the beautiful fall foliage in the Great Smokies, the Shenandoahs, up into the Laurel Highlands of Pennsylvania. Now, looking at the forecast model, the GFS model, we have a surge of warm air all the way up into the border from International Falls, all the way up into Canadian border across Montreal, extending all the way up through the Central Plains. This warm air will continue to be in place for much of the week, this week, and even next week. We don't see a real cold blast coming down from Canada, but there is a couple of low pressure cold systems that come by that kind of bring temperatures closer to average. But that's going to be toward the middle of November, when we have another system that's going to be coming through here toward the middle of November. That's going to bring a lot of more rain showers and thunderstorms with a vigorous low there, as you can see. But temperatures still don't become below average. The below average corridor for temperatures through Friday of this coming week is going to be for through November 6th, Sunday, is going to be for the upper Midwest. So from Minneapolis, St. Paul, over through Jamestown, North Dakota, through Montana and Idaho, and back through Seattle. They're going to experience below normal temperatures. The rest of the country is going to experience above average or average temperatures for the next 7 to 10 days. So this is excellent news. Besides the occasional rain shower, which you can see here, that's going to affect from Texas back through the Mid-Atlantic, the Southeast as well. We don't see any bitter cold air coming through. And even the cold fronts that come through, the next two cold fronts are not really strong in nature. They're going to bring some strong showers and storms. The Storm Prediction Center is giving a slight or marginal risk of these that's going to be coming through the plains, the high plains, and all of that. But it's not going to be a strong thing. So this is excellent news. And a matter of fact, the last one didn't have much lightning with it at all here. But with this, going back to Hurricane Lisa, our thoughts and prayers are with Belize and central Mexico, because there will be some flooding involved with this system, and heavy rain is going to be the main threat as the winds are spinning down right now as it making landfall as an 85-mile-an-hour Category 1 hurricane. Storm surge is going to be on the order of just to the north and east of Belize City, coming in here through Orange Walk Town and Chamatal of Mexico. Storm surge is going to be on the order of 5 to 7 feet, possibly on some of these barrier islands on that. So while not super life threatening, it is quite dangerous to be out there if you're in the boat or if you're on the coast. You definitely want to bring it. The latest advisory is a 4:20 p.m. Central Time, brings the landfall near Belize City. And I just want to quickly show you how far the hurricane force winds extend out. This system is very compact. The hurricane force winds only extend out 15 miles from the center. Tropical storms winds extend out 70 miles from the center. So an observation in Belize City recently reported a wind gust of 70 miles an hour. So the winds are already there. And 990 millibars, as I said before, the pressure's at 990. So hurricane conditions are being felt right now. And hurricane force winds only extend out 15 miles. So that's very good in terms of the wind. Now the rainfall totals, like I said, that's going to be another thing. Once again, 4 to 7 feet storm surge. The rainfall totals are going to be around total maximum up to 10 inches possible across Belize, northern Guatemala, and the southern Mexico state of Quintana Roo. So you're looking at anywhere between 4 to 10 inches. So that's not as bad as previous storms that we've had in Central America. But however, that's still a lot of rain because, Belize is mostly flat. There's not really a lot of mountains until you get inland, per se, until you get inland and north. So you can see here, most of the convection here is in the north and the east side of this system here. And some of this convection is on the southern side, but that's falling apart now as it encounters the land, the friction of the land here. So if I zoom out here, you can see we have it making landfall. We have showers already far away from the center here into Cancun, Mexico, Merida, Mexico, and these are all going to be heading inland. So the system has made landfall and it will be rapidly weakening. And the good news is that it's a small, compact system, and it is moving once again west at 15 miles an hour. So that's great news that it's moving fast, and because it's moving fast, it's not sitting there spinning and just going over the same areas with rain. We call that training. When it goes over the same areas with rain, the same storms go over the same areas. It's not going to be the case here. So 4 to 10 inches of rain, the storm maximum, according to the National Hurricane Center forecast. And then once it gets into the Bay of Campeche, check back on Friday or Saturday night to see the steering currents, because there's not much steering currents up here to whether it's going to make a second landfall in Mexico or is it going to go up into Texas. It just now, there's a lot of uncertainty with that, but it will be a depression by that time. So it won't be a depression. Is a system that has winds of less than 35 miles an hour. So just keep that in mind. Sustained winds. So just keep that in mind once it gets into the Bay of Campeche. So I just wanted to give you this brief update as far as Hurricane Lisa, Hurricane Martin, and the current hazards conditions in the United States of today. Thank you very much. This is the Weather Guru. I'll see you on the next episode, and have a blessed day or night, wherever you may be.